Hey, what's going on out there, YouTube fam? This is Sammy Leggy here representing TeamJVS. I'm back here again for another review. This is a Disney Plus TV show review. Yet again, we're going back to 2001, The Proud Family. Now it's The Proud Family, Prouder and Louder. Now, I'm going to be doing a non-spoiler review of the first two episodes. I'll try to go through. This is my second time actually recording it. For whatever reason, something happened with the equipment. But I'm trying to give you guys the straight up tight thought process on what I thought about the first two episodes. Now, off rip, the entire cast is back. That's an immediate win. There's only one character. That's the character Sticky. I'll go ahead and just say it. That is not reprising their roles as the characters. Now, some people it was flopped and flipped, but I'll get into that in just a second. But the main gems in your boy Tommy Davidson is back as Oscar. Paula J, she's back as Trudy. Of course, your girl Kyla Pratt is back as Penny Proud. And then, of course, you got the amazing Mrs. Peyton and Sugar Mama. Sugar Mama's back. Heck, they even got Cedric Entertainer to come back as Uncle Bobby. So the pieces are there, as well as all of Penny's friends and Dejanay and La Cienega and all their friends. Now, there is a change that happened to Michael. Michael's initially played by Philip Lamar, and now Magic Johnson's son, E.J. Johnson, I believe, is the person that's reprising the role for the dad. Also, they added to the cast. They added Kiki Palmer to the cast in Maya. Maya's a new person who's come to town, and she's got a younger brother named KG, and she's got a dad named Bobby. Bobby is being played by Zachary Quinto, which is really cool. But the interesting thing about the silhouette of this episode, the first episode, is that there's the light. The light comes, and essentially it is puberty has hit all the kids. And immediately off rip, you notice that the show, yes, the kids are a little older and a little bit more, in tune with themselves, but they're not in college just yet. But the tone of the show is a little bit more adult. There's certain things that they kind of add in there and sprinkles that you're like, oh, that's a blatant reference. I mean, even more so, there's a moment in the second episode, definitely, I was like, yo, I'm surprised they got away with that. But it's a welcome change because they also had to adapt with the changes of the time, because now, there's cell phones. 2001, it wasn't the same like it is in 2022, which is crazy to think about that like that. But cell phones, different new artists, and also the music scene is there in this as well, specifically even the first episode. Like, CeeLo Green is in this episode. He has an awesome song, and how the catalyst of how that happens in connection with Maya and Penny is really interesting. But also there's another artist in this one. All I can say, Young Tyler, the little baby rapper. You'll see exactly. That reference is actually really funny, the way they did that. The Gross Sisters are back in this one as well. But what did I really think about the first episode? I think the first episode, the art and animation is really good. It's better. Intro is even stronger than the original one. I don't know if it's better, but it's just as good, just as catchy. I didn't think they could even do that, because I would have been fine just the original. The episode is really fascinating because it basically is Penny has grown up, yeah, but she's also dealing with still real challenges that there's not necessarily a fix to it, which that's life in and of itself. It's not just like fix, where it's like she wants to befriend the new girl, Maya, and Maya doesn't want anything to do with Penny or anybody else in the town, and that is what, catapults the trajectory of the season. I think it was a pretty good first episode. I actually thought it was a really good first episode, because by the end of it, it allows you to see the progression with Penny as an individual. But there's also certain things that kind of come off really grimy and really petty that I was kind of like, I don't know how I feel about this, because this is where I was going into in my original recording of this, is that there are certain shows like The Simpsons and Family Guy and, American Dad, right? When something happens in an episode, the next episode is not going to have an effect. You know what I'm saying? Like, it could be 100 episodes later, but they're not going to pull back from this. It's not Attack on Titan. But then there's another show like Rick and Morty that if one specific thing happens in the first episode or another episode, there's a cause effect. There's a ripple effect that happens. In the original Proud Family, that never happened. It was always more so like The Simpsons, more so like what had happened before. The only show that I remember kind of like on the same vein was like Futurama, which I appreciated them like actually having progression of show, which I was hoping that was would be the situation with this. But given how the transition happened to the second episode, that's not what happened. And I was kind of like, dang, man, like it kind of throws off, because then you're like, well, what does that really mean? How are these characters really growing? Like, these relationships need to be able to progress and evolve naturally, as opposed to just a flip of the finger. Next episode, everything's cool now. And I didn't personally like that transition. Not to say that the episode 1 or 2 are bad. I think in their own respective rights is good, but it just doesn't help the trajectory of the show that needs to be able to evolve with the times, just like the kids are and everything else is. Second episode, the Prince Influencer, or the Bad Influencer is the name of the episode. But there's a there's a makeup boy that is actually an actual person. I think his name is Bretman Rock. Bretman Rock is the person that is voicing this, and he actually is a real big influencer himself. Makeup and fashion and being an entrepreneur in of itself is something that's very fascinating, but it also could be very toxic, because the social media environment gives a lot of juice, as they use it in this. And Penny looks and sees that all of her friends are just rallying behind this guy. And she's like, no, you guys are acting like sheep. You shouldn't let anybody influence you one way or another, and I'll prove you guys wrong. And just like Penny, in her fashion, always tries to do, she tries to go and show that there's consequence to this, and this is something that's it's not all it's cracked up to be. And unfortunately, with doing that, she catches the juice herself. And the thing about this episode is I didn't necessarily like it, because I don't know that there was a real... I felt like there was a real lesson to be learned, and I felt like it was really important. But the reality of her choices in this episode, they don't show the real consequence or the connection, what that means with her actual relationships outside of her immediate family. And I was like, this is... I don't know. Like, and that's one of the things about with the Proud Family in the beginning, even when I was looking at it when I was younger, is I was like, what's the real consequence? Like, there's not an effect, because the next episode, everything is going to be just fine. And that's the thing that I don't like about, as a whole, the Proud Family. And I think that that's what's going to be hard for me to kind of rate these, because on their own respective rates, these are both 8 to 8.5 episodes. Neither one of these are bad. Like, the music is great, animation is great, the characters I'm intrigued by. I want to see it again. I'll rewatch both episodes again. But it's kind of like, as the show, as an overarching, if I'm just judging based off the first episodes, and this is a season, but then this may be a call on me, I may be a bias, because I feel like this, over the Proud Family in general, there's not enough progression to merit this being like anything other than just kind of being cookie cutter. Like, it's so important, because this is a black family, but it's not just black centric. Like, it's culturally relevant. Like, it's other characters around. And I'm not saying this is like the Boondocks, but in a way it kind of is. Like, the impact is kind of technically the same. And it's like, I wish that there was a progression and a continuation of the effects or the ramifications of something that happens in one individual episode carried over to the next. And I hope that the show listens to that in some way, shape, or form. But based on these first 2 episodes, and just like the previous series, that's not what's happening. And that's my only gripe about it. And I don't know how to really rate the show based off of that. And hopefully you guys understand what I'm saying. Like, the characters I love, the motivations of the character and the life lessons that they learn are very important, very specific. And I think it goes and harpens back to even like the old school, like Sister or Family Manners or whatnot. You know, it would be something that Steve would do. It would be something that, somebody would do. And that doesn't necessarily have an effect later on, or it might be referenced later. And I think that that's one of the things, like, I want to see these characters literally, truly grow. you know. But I think that I do love that they've changed all the different characters for the better, and they've allowed them to be able to evolve and progress even to an, you know, high school age. Even though I wonder how, if they allow this show that can go on, that they get to college, that I think would be very fascinating. But they have to show change and progression. They can't just be like how it is right now, where it's like episode to episode, but no necessary change. But we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this review and breakdown of The Proud Family, Prouder and Louder. I'll talk to you guys soon. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that bell button. If you guys want me to review more episodes of Prouder and Louder, I'd be more than happy to. Talk to you guys soon. Peace, guys.